Electric vehicles are on our minds more than ever, and there is little relief in sight for gas prices. So this morning, we're answering your questions about purchasing an electric vehicle. Let's bring in electric vehicle consultant, Buzz Smith. Hi, Buzz.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Toyota, the world's largest automaker. They've been criticized by some investors and environmental organizations for not getting more electric models out. What do you think took them so long?
I think that what was actually happening was Toyota was betting on hydrogen fuel cell vehicles to leapfrog the competition. They thought everybody else would go electric. They would end up leapfrogging into hydrogen technology and win the race that way. But as it turns out, if you do a little bit of investigating, the way you generate hydrogen is by burning fossil fuel to heat up water to split it into hydrogen and oxygen. So it doesn't really do anything for the environment. It was a bad bet for Toyota. There is a place for hydrogen fuel cells in heavy duty trucking, but I just don't think it's going to be consumer vehicles.
Yeah.
And they made the wrong bet, basically.
Maybe they were just hoping that they could do something different than follow the electric vehicle revolution that's starting to happen with so many big automakers, including Ford. We have a question from one of our viewers, Bob Sutton in Brigantine, New Jersey. Let's listen.
EVs are now getting more popular than ever given the high price of gas. Some say the current cost of gas and the cost to produce the electricity for the EV is a wash. And I'm wondering if you could comment on to whether or not this is in fact true.
All right, Buzz, what's your answer?
Okay, everybody's been talking about when we would hit price parity. I believe we're already there when you're looking at mid-range and less expensive EVs. There's always going to be, you know, the $150,000 Teslas and Lucids and things like that. But there are a lot of EVs out there available in the low $30,000 range. There are government incentives. The federal tax incentive can be as much as a $7,500 tax credit, and various states have great incentives as well. I live in Texas, and even in Big Oil, Texas, we have a $2,500 rebate. So in Texas, that's $10,000 that you can use towards the purchase of the car once you get that money in. Now, that's one way to look at it, is the overall price of the car. But then you start comparing, and everybody thinks about fuel economy, and it is huge in the electric vehicle world. But what they don't think about or may not understand is electric cars have no oil or oil pumps in them. So there's no oil or oil filter to change. Typically, there's no transmission fluid or transmission fluid to change, no timing belt, no gaskets that blow out in a gas engine, no exhaust system. All of these things have to be maintained in a gas car, and they don't have to be maintained in an electric vehicle. In fact, if you'll open the owner's manual to most electric vehicles and look at the scheduled maintenance, your first major scheduled maintenance is at 150,000 miles. So virtually no maintenance costs at all.
We have another question from our viewer, Bob. Here we go.
If the current administration is so committed to putting EVs in the road, why am I not seeing this groundswell of support materialize into more charging stations?
All right, Buzz.
This is a big one. So I've been driving electrically for 10 years, and I've plugged into public chargers maybe 10 times. So if you have an apartment that has a garage, or a home that has a garage, or even if there's just a 110 outlet, 12 amps or more near where you park your car, 99% of the time you're just going to charge at home. Now, that same argument the gentleman posed could have been posed about cell phones. If cell phones are such great ideas, why don't I see cell phone towers everywhere? And if we had done that, if we had built the cell towers in advance, all the cell tower people would have gone broke because nobody had phones to use them. So this is an organic thing that's happening right now. People are ramping up sales of electric vehicles, and the charging infrastructure is being installed at the same time. Texas just announced that every 50 miles along our major highways, we're going to have DC fast charging. So charging infrastructure is a lot less important than most people think, unless you can't charge at home or at work, or you do more than 250 miles of driving a day.
All right, Buzz Smith, keeping us honest. Thank you so much with all those tips and information, and thank you to Bob for asking that question. You can send us your questions at newsnationnow.com/answersforamerica. That's newsnationnow.com/answersforamerica. We'll have your questions answered right here live on our show.